Yes, so the video is recording. And then, like I said, we'll do 3, 2, 1, clap, and then I'll start the introduction, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so,
Recording. Yeah.
yeah, so 3, 2, 1, good. Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 62 of the Beat Your Backlog podcast, a podcast discussing the things gamers like to put off, get to another day, and oh yes, we'll definitely beat later, their backlog. I'm your host, Adam, and today I am joined by my colleague, my partner in crime, my work wife, Kaspar, aka Kazapi. How on earth are you doing, Kaspar?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
It's been a long day at work, as you know, but I'm glad to hear that you finally finished Slay the Princess, even though it's only a 3 to 5 hour game. But
Yeah.
now we can talk about it. Yeah.
I don't want to spoil the video I recorded like after work, but I was ready to throw the laptop out of the room. I was like, what am I doing wrong?
No.
Yeah, but anyway, I did finish it, but the game set me up to think that like I'm just an idiot and I'm just on an infinite loop. But I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later. One very important question I have for you: how do you pronounce your persona name? Is it Kazapi? Because I always say Kazapi because
Yeah.
it sounds funny. Okay, good.
Yeah, Kazapi.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. So that we got that out of the way. So yeah, so Kaspar, aka Kazapi, is joining me today to actually talk about Slay the Princess. So Slay the Princess, if you don't know, is the Beat Your Backlog Discord game of the month for April. And we have a few of us have all been playing the game. I somehow have been playing it very slowly compared to other people in the Discord server, but I finally finished it and thought it would be cool to get Kaspar on to talk about it. And I've realized I've made a massive mistake on my video. But if you can talk for a little bit, I can fix it whilst we're recording.
I can't
And
talk.
we don't have to start again.
No, I can tell you why you took so long because I was watching your playthrough on YouTube for a bit,
Uh-huh.
and you talk a lot more about the decisions than I did when I was reading. And when you're reading, you just go like through it and select something. And you were talking about the decisions, and there's so many decisions in this game that I think
Yeah.
that all just added up to a lot of extra time then.
Yeah,
Um,
that's another thing I wanted to ask you actually, because I was like, did you listen to the voice acting or did you just read? Did you have it on silent and just read through everything?
no, I listened to it because
Oh,
it was
okay.
so good.
Yeah. That's why I was worried that like maybe you were like
Mhm.
trying to speed through it and
No,
missed it.
no, I mean maybe sometimes later in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning of the game, I was just completely enthralled by
Mm-hmm.
whatever it was giving me. What I was lapping it up. It
Yeah,
was really good.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that in a little bit. But before we do, we'll get some like house. How do you call it? Like house. It's like where you look
Keeping?
after. Yeah, housekeeping. Some housekeeping out of the way. So yeah, before we get into the full episode about Slay the Spire, I would like to remind you, the listeners, that you can support the
Not Slay the
podcast.
Spire, Slay the
Slay,
Princess.
yeah. Do you know how many? Do you know how many introductions I had to redo because I said Slay the Spire as well for the YouTube? I was like, Slay the Princess. Yes, before we get into it. But yeah, you can support the podcast on Patreon for what it's worth. You know, this kind of this I don't know. It's like a rumbly old car getting along. Like somehow it manages to work. But yeah, if the reason that it does work is because people like Kaspar here do support me on Patreon, and yeah, if you do, you will gain access to all of my content 24 hours earlier than everyone else. You also get access to the Beat Your Bonus podcast, which is sort of like a sister podcast to Beat Your Backlog, which is just for Patreon supporters. I do a lot of things on there, like top 10 lists, like the two that are up there right now. I think my top 10 Nintendo published games, my top 10 indie games. And the next video going up next week is about my Steam wish list. So if that sounds interesting to you and you want some kind of extra content to support the podcast, make sure you go over to patreon.com/beat your backlog. And of course, thank you to my patrons, Hoppel, Kazapi, and Gaming in the Wild. And yeah, so maybe Kaspar, since I talked for so long on already, why don't you give like a quick roundup of Slay the Princess?
All right, so the game is an entirely narrative game. So if you're looking for action, combat, or anything in this game, you're at the wrong address. It is all like the art style is this beautiful, like sketchy, charcoal kind of style. Looks very hand drawn and rough, but it just fits very well with the game. You just like the intro, the premise of the game is that you are supposed to slay the princess. It's in the name, which is very
Yes.
handy. and you start off in the game being given a decision. I'm not going to say what. We can get into that later. But there are many branching decisions in this video game, and you will not believe how many different branches there are. That's what surprised me the most, is how the game just seemed to endlessly keep going, and also every choice that you made brought you to like its own unique branch. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do a full review now, but there's a
No.
little,
Yeah.
little
So we agreed before the podcast started that we would start off without doing any major spoilers section firsthand, because there might be still some people in the Discord that are playing it, and we don't want to spoil it for them until we specifically say, okay, we are going to spoil it. But going into the game, did you know anything about the game before you started playing it?
I watched the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah. The trailer already says, I think, a lot about what the game is going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of sets expectations for what you're expected to do in the game. But yeah, also, like I said, I don't think it prepares you for everything that is
No.
coming your way. Yeah.
No, it gave me like like it was very reminiscent of the Doki Doki Literature Club, where I think you're
Yeah.
right. Like the game is way more like, it comes across. It tells you that it's like kind of like horror inspired, and like the artwork that you said is also, it's very kind of this black and grey sketches. So you kind of get a creepy feeling when you start it, and the whole premise is that you are there to slay this princess, because if you don't, she'll end the world. But it's like you said, like you kind of go in thinking, okay, I have to slay this princess. For me, I was like, I know it's a short game, so it must be just like a graphic novel where you just click through it and it's a story, and at the end you choose if you want to slay the princess. But in my opinion, I think this is like one of the smartest games I've ever played. Like I really think it's like one of those games. It's a game that really felt like it was like reading my mind. Like as I was, and if anyone watches the Let's Play, as I'm playing, I'm trying to like work out like, okay, what does the game want me to do? Like, how is the game built that I need to manipulate it to get what I want? And every time I thought I had it worked out, it just completely throws like a spanner in the works, and is like, nope, now we're going down this route. And I'm like, oh my god, I've never experienced a game like that where I felt like the game was actually smarter than I am.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, I don't think I'm smarter than you are, but I did kind of figure out what the game wanted from me. After, I mean, I can't say exactly where. Let's say after like 1.5 to 2 hours.
Okay.
Like, I knew exactly what I had to do to get to the end. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's going to be hard to talk about this game without spoiling it. So in general, what was your feelings on the game like after finishing it?
Just really content. I mean, I don't know if it's spoilery to say, but because no, it's not spoilery to say, but because you have so many decisions, there's so many branching storylines. You don't necessarily see everything in your first run. So my feeling when I ended it was, oh my god, that was amazing. Should I do a fresh run now just to see all the other stuff that I've missed?
Yeah.
That was my feeling. What I did then was I actually told my wife she should play it because I wanted to see what options my wife would choose, which was great. I can tell you what stuff she chose later, and you will see that my wife is a complete psychopath. And like it's then I also saw some of the like story options that I didn't get to myself. Yeah, so it was kind of fun that way as well.
Yeah, and what was your approach? Like, because my approach was always not to kill her and to try my best to save her. But then, like I said,
Is this going into spoiler territory?
no, I think like, did you go in as kind of like the aggressive murderer, like you're going to kill her to save the Earth, or you took each run individually depending on the stuff that was put before you, or did you have like a specific strategy that you had going into it?
First time I was being the diplomat. I mean, you know me. I'm pretty much always a diplomat, and I was like, I don't know if I should kill her or not. I don't have enough information. So first I'll just talk to her and see if I can find out if she's actually good or not, try to find some more clues and information from the game itself, trying to tell me stuff.
Yeah.
That was my intention.
Yeah, so I would say like there's a lot of options to talk. Like you said, that you get quite a few sort of dialogue options where you can be very direct and just go in if you want to completely just kill the princess straight away. or you can talk to her and they kind of open up all of these other dialogue kind of branches and trees that then can almost lead you in circles sometimes, where you talk and talk and talk, and then eventually the game makes you make a decision, which was one thing I really struggled with, because I was like, oh, am I making the right decision here?
Hmm.
But yeah, I did the same, especially in my first run. I was like, okay, I need to talk. Like, this can't be what has been presented before me, cannot be what is like actually
Hmm.
happening.
Hmm.
And yeah, I would say like it kind of didn't end well for me, at least
Yeah.
my first
Do you
attempt.
do you know about the developers of the game?
I don't know a lot. I've been finishing. I've been following them on Blue Sky for a while, and that's actually how I
Hmm.
first heard about the game, because I just saw the artwork and I was like, oh, this looks
Hmm.
cool. And then
Hmm.
there was like quite a few reviews came out that were very very positive, and it was always on my radar, and I was always
Hmm.
looking for an excuse to play. And that's
Hmm.
why I did it to the game of the month list, because I was
Hmm.
hoping it would be picked at some point so that I could play it. But
Hmm.
otherwise, no, I don't really know much about them.
Okay. I just checked it a little bit before our interview,
Hmm.
and it's actually just two people. I think, uh, like a husband and wife or girlfriend boyfriend, but like
Hmm.
a couple who live together. Um, they have, I think, a dog, a snake, and an axolotl, from what I saw on the site. Very proudly presenting that. But yeah, just like a two-person team made the entire game,
Hmm.
and they have two voice actors for the entire game,
Yeah,
which you can probably
tell. Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
but I thought it was three, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I also
Um,
thought there was three. I
yeah,
thought
no,
obviously the male voice act, the male voice was the same guy, and I thought there was a couple of princess voices.
no, I thought the opposite. I thought the
Oh,
princess
really?
was all the same voice actress, but
Uh
I
huh.
thought there was two male voices.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, yes, they would be like pretty similar sounding male voices, but I
Mhm.
still thought there was some difference. But it just goes to say that like the voice actors so amazing,
Yeah.
and they had so many voice lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also, yeah, like the thing just being made by two people. It really warms my heart when a game that is probably like relatively small in scope, and like simple in the idea, but really perfect in its execution, does so well. And we're sat
Yeah.
here talking about it now, and friends are playing it, and families playing it. So yeah, I really hope that it's like a breakthrough success for them.
Yeah, I think it has been. I think it's like the so I'm looking at their Blue Sky now. So the development
Hmm.
studio is called Black Tabby Games, and
Hmm.
they yeah, it's a two-person studio with Abby Howard and Tony Howard Arias, who I guess yeah are either brother or sister, or they're married. And yeah, they seem to have been nominated for a lot of awards recently. Like I saw, especially the writing. That's one thing I think we can say without spoiling it, is like how good the writing is in this
Oh yeah.
game, especially if it's only been been written by kind of a
Hmm.
small indie team. Like this, the writing in it is just something else. Like I've not really experienced, or I've not experienced a game in a long time that really talks the way this game talks.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's like you say, it's really impressive that two people did this, because this, even though the art looks is like illustration and looks like sketches, there is a lot of art. Like there's a lot of different pieces to the game that obviously the more and more you play, you see even more and more. And yeah, we'll talk about a little bit about what happens at the end. But there, it's also very cool. Like some of the animations that they have at the very end were really surprising. Like I was like, oh, it's we didn't see that many animations throughout the game, other than just sort of
Hmm.
like like just images moving like one frame at a time, moving backwards and forwards or whatever, and then at the
Hmm.
end they go into some like really nice animations. But yeah, it seems to be doing well. Like I saw that they're getting a physical edition on Switch, and there's like a statue that you can get of the final boss thing that you come
Hmm.
up against, which is pretty cool. And yeah, they also have another game that they.
Oh, another fun trivia fact that I saw, because this is also maybe a fun thing that you want to look at on YouTube.
Hmm.
The developers did like a 6 hour long stream on Twitch, apparently, which they
Hmm.
then put on YouTube, of them playing through the game.
That's cool.
Um, but they turned down the voice volume of the game, and they had the two voice actors
Haha.
actually live voice act during the Twitch stream everything that was happening, Um, it must have been amazing. And then
That's
like
cool. Yeah.
everyone, joining in on the decisions and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
the voice of the last boss, just wanted to mention that now, is actually the voice of the two developers combined together.
Ah, that's cool.
They acted that
Yeah.
themselves. That's what they're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a really creative game. I also saw that they have another game called Scarlet Hollow, which looks very
Mm.
similar. Like it's also sort of horror vibes, black and
Mhm.
grey art, and I think it's one of those games where I really wish I was playing it with like on stream with an audience,
Mhm.
just to go, because it's such like a there's so many decisions you have to make. I think it would have been cool to have someone like there with you, helping you make the decisions or giving you kind of reasons why you should or shouldn't do
Mhm.
this or do that. So yeah, so to kind of round off this non-spoilery part, like, would you suggest that people play the game if they haven't played it already?
Yeah, I mean, someone in our Discord channel has already asked that question, and my answer was, if you're not someone impatient, and if you're not someone who doesn't mind reading,
Mm-hmm.
because there is a lot of reading, and you do have to be patient for some parts, because
Mm-hmm.
there's also like some repetition and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I would say then maybe the game is not for you. I'm saying maybe because it's possibly like so good that it could still keep someone like that like hooked.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like for instance, my wife, I think she's a bit more of an impatient player. She loves reading though, but then like
Mm.
she played the game and she got, I would say, maybe like a quarter to a third through,
Yeah.
and then she was like, ah, I need a break from this. And then she didn't get back to it. And then at some point, she just asked me, okay, just tell me the ending. I don't want to go back and play
Mm-hmm.
it.
Okay.
So that's what I ended up doing. But yeah, so if you're one of those kinds of people, then maybe not. But everyone else, especially people who like love a good story in their
Mm-hmm.
games, definitely get this game, play this game, because it's uh, unlike any game I've ever played.
Yeah.
And I've also seen some like visual novel games and like you said, like Doki Doki Literature Club. Like I've seen Let's Plays of that as well. And while those games are good in their own way, I think this is so much more sophisticated. Like that's
Yeah.
the only word I can use to describe it because it's so intelligent and also deep. And once we get to the spoilers, like there's also some really amazing like quotes from the game
Mm-hmm.
that I can maybe mention if I can remember them. Um, but yeah, it's so cleverly written and so beautifully written sometimes as well. That yeah, I really think it's worth a look.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely suggest it. Like even with the if you're not really into like if if you don't have the patience to read or put through with the repetitiveness, at least I was playing on like PC like keyboard, and you could
Hmm.
just press tab and that would skip you forward to the next selection of choices that you had. I mean, you still had to read through the choices, but after
Hmm.
a while, if you knew what you were doing, you could also then just skip through. So that helped me a little bit. Like it cut down in the let's play, like just watching the same scenes over and over again. But yeah, like you said, it's also I also think it's like a game that I've not played a game like it before. Like I said, I think
Hmm.
it's a game that outsmarted me, where I was like, okay, this is just whatever, just a graphic novel that I'm going to click through and just experience the
Hmm.
story, and it'll be over. And then again, if you watch the let's play, when you realize when I am realizing what the game actually is, it's like an amazing moment for me where I'm like, okay, this is the experience I'm in for, and
Hmm.
I don't want to spoil that right now, but we will spoil it later. And it obviously gets spoiled in the let's play too. But if you don't plan on playing the game, then watch the let's play. And
Hmm.
yeah, like, and I think it's definitely worth checking out for anyone. Like, it's such a unique game. It's one of those games that after you finish playing it, you think about it. Like, there's some games where you kind of play it, finish it, and then you're like, okay, I'm moving on to the next one. But this is definitely a game where you finish it and you're like, well, did I make the right decisions there? Like, what were my other options? Like,
Hmm.
what does the ending mean? Like, and I think there's more than one ending. So yeah. So yeah, I think we can both say safely go and play it. And if you are ending the podcast here because you don't want the game spoiled, like I said, we are discussing it right now in the Beat Your Backlog Discord server. This is the game of the month for April, so we'll be discussing it throughout the rest of April. So if you want to come and talk to us about it, to me and Kaspar, then make sure you join the Discord. The link is in the description. So, spoilers. There's like
Oh,
there should be an alarm going off in the background. No, 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 no,
right.
no, no, no. So the rest of this will have heavy spoilers, even like the ending, because I think
Mhm.
maybe we got different endings. Um, yeah. So, where do you want to start?
Phew. Maybe I just tell you about my playthrough.
Yeah, that
And
sounds good.
yeah, so how I started was the diplomatic way.
Hmm.
Um, and so I asked the princess, what are you doing here? And then there's this
Sorry,
narrator.
before you get into it, just to see if we had the same. What type of princess was it the first time you got around? Like, was it the kind of more confident, bossy one, the more like
Um,
submissive damsel one, or just a more like just a
I think it was none of the ones that you saw.
okay?
Um, so she started out because I just kept asking so many questions. She got really annoyed,
Mm-hmm.
and in the end, because I annoyed her so much, there like she didn't have any sort of like positive feelings towards me. So
Okay.
the game kind of forced me to try and kill her.
Yeah.
But because I had annoyed her for so long, when I tried to kill her, she was like, I'm not having none of that.
Uh
And
huh.
then she killed me.
Okay.
She became this like the fear princess, I think she's called, or something like
Okay.
that. She has like this porcelain doll mask on,
Mm-hmm.
and she basically tortures you.
Okay.
Um, and like you go down there with a blade to kill her, and she takes the blade and she like proper thousand cuts you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, yeah, terrible experience. So then the next time I was like, okay, fuck this. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on your podcast,
Well, it's too
but
late now, isn't it?
yeah, okay. um, I'm not playing around with her,
Yeah.
and because then, oh yeah, so first spoiler, if you're still here and have not played the game, is you resurrect
Mm-hmm.
after she kills you. So you resurrect, and then I was like, okay, no, that was traumatic. I'm just gonna go in there and kill her, and I resurrected. I don't care. This game seems to be very like lenient with me. Whatever I do, I'm sure I'll just resurrect again. So
Yeah.
I'll go and kill her again. So I mean, kill her for the first time then. So I went in, grabbed the blade. Was like the perfect soldier for the narrator,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like super happy that I was doing everything he told me to do. Go down, ignore her, please, and kill her. And while I'm doing that, obviously because I'm being very like dismissive of her and just aggressive and just trying to kill her, she gets scared, and then she
Mm-hmm.
has like those like anime teary-eyed like the Puss in Boots face. Oh, please don't do it! And she became so sweet and stuff in the end.
Okay.
But then it was too late for me to take my decision back,
Yeah.
apparently, and I had to kill her. But then the third time, so then what happens is like you kill her,
Mm-hmm.
and then she gets absorbed into
Yeah.
this place, right? We can get into that later. But so then my pendulum swung back the other way,
Mm-hmm.
because then you resurrect again and you go to her again, and then she remembers that you killed her,
Yeah.
and then she's like, "Oh no, are you here to kill me again? I'm so sorry. Like whatever I've done, please, forgive me. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what I did to anger you, but please stop." Yeah, and you're like, well, fuck, like
Yeah.
now I don't want to be mean to her anymore. And then I went back on the good guy route,
Yeah.
and then I got like this romance story with her, which
Mm-hmm.
was amazing, and it was so much fun. So yeah, and then after that run, I pretty much knew what the game wanted from me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, yeah, since we're in the spoiler territory now,
Yeah.
um, the thing, whatever it is, in the long quiet, wanted you to bring it vessels,
Yeah.
and each vessel was supposed to have a different personality. And I noticed while playing that the personality of the princess that you see is mirrored in your own personality. So sometimes you start to run,
Mm-hmm.
and you would have the voice of the smitten, for instance, appear, and then you know that this is going to be a run where you can maybe romance her because he's like the romance guy.
Yeah.
Then there's the voice of the contrarian, which creates in her like this really like sarcastic, cynical bitch type, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can sort of always go for the options that reinforce that character. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did. Like I ignored all the options that were not to do with the current voice that is
Okay.
accompanying me, and that way I just got super fast to feeding the thing with all of the vessels, and then she was full, and then you get the ending. Um, yeah. When you said before, by the way, that you had one of the endings where you thought the game was trolling you,
Hmm.
was it that thing that they painted in like Microsoft Paint or something?
No,
Okay.
so like
Did you
I
get
guess
that one though?
no, I never got that. No,
Okay.
no. Yeah, no. My experience was a bit different because, like I said, I had no idea that it was like kind of a not really a roguelite in a sense. I mean, it is because you start over and you as the player have knowledge
Hmm.
about what is going to happen, but the characters in the game don't.
Hmm.
And how it's set up is like there are usually there's like three chapters. There's like one chapter where it's about you and the princess, and that defines chapter two. Your
Hmm.
actions in it define what chapter two is, and then chapter two, depending what you do in there, it's either she kills the princess, sorry, you kill the princess, or the she gets taken to the long quiet.
Hmm.
And I had it once where I got to chapter three, which was with the Fury, where the chapter two was the Empress, and I ended up killing the Empress, and then went on to chapter three, and I was like, oh, this is where the game must be ending. Like this is where I was
Hmm.
going wrong before because I kept getting to chapter two and then dying and resetting.
Hmm.
And then I got to chapter three, and basically the Fury, she unwound me, basically like turned my insides out, and I was like, what have I done wrong? Or like what? Like I didn't even take the knife with me. I wanted to be nice to her, but
Hmm.
I didn't realize until then that like actually the in all of the chapters the princess is the same princess. Like you remember the princess and she remembers you. And when I
Hmm.
realized that, I was like, okay, now I kind of understand a bit more that like what we're supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think I played it a bit more like I just whatever felt right to me in that moment. I was the option I took.
Hmm.
So like with the goddess, the one before it, it was the damsel, and then she fell in love with me, and she basically turns into like this like waifu that is only
Hmm.
wants to make you happy, and I was like, well, this is
Yeah, yeah,
weird.
yeah.
Like, why you don't even know me? What and you just keep asking her and asking her why she wants to make you happy, and she's just like, because I want to make you happy, and
Hmm.
it's really cool how they do it with the art that like the she kind of deforms as a character. Like she starts off as this kind of like
Hmm.
this sketch, and then it gets simplified and simplified until eventually she just looks like a geological or not a geometric kind of
Hmm.
sketch, very angular and whatever. And then eventually the long quiet takes her, and that's also where I was like, okay, so the game. It always tells you like, oh, there's no wrong answers and no right answers or whatever, and just play it. But I
Hmm.
was like, okay, the game now, it's obvious that there are definitely like boundaries that you can be in, because I wanted to keep asking her about like what makes me happy, and okay,
Hmm.
what if I want you to make me unhappy? And then she's like, oh well, if that makes you happy, I'll make you unhappy, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it just felt like I got into the end of the branch, and the game was like, okay, it's over now, take her away. But with
Hmm.
the goddess, it was the opposite. Like I can't remember how I turned her into the goddess, but
Um, I think in the beginning, if you're a little bit, um, what's the word for it? A little bit of a simp. Uh,
yeah, like
she
there's like the
immediately latches onto that, and she's
yeah, there's the burden, right? Is it the burden, the voice of the burden, or the it begins
the
with B,
broken,
the broken? Yeah, like
maybe.
he
Yeah,
comes in and
yeah,
he's the
yeah, yeah,
one that is like, oh, we should bow down to her and just become like her pet.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And then so I'm like fighting against her, and she's like
Yeah.
using my body against me.
Mm.
And then yeah, with her it was that then I managed to slit her heel, and then that kind
Hmm.
of like broke a spell on me, and then I ended up like stabbing her to death, and then she killed me. And then yeah,
Mm.
then you go to the Fury, and she's like in this like hellscape, and is more or less like this corpse that is wearing her skin as a dress. And
Hmm.
yeah, and then she like unwinds you or unwounds you, and it's
Yeah.
just like torturing you and like removing your atoms from existence, and then
Hmm.
decides actually this isn't like helping her anymore. Like it's not as satisfying as she thought it was going to be.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then yeah, and then she ends up getting also like turned into just pieces, right? Like it's just her heart
Hmm.
and her guts left, and then the long quiet takes her. So yeah, so it was for me. It was just like very much. I was just trying to just work out what to do, and just being like, all right, well, what? I'll just play it by ear and see how I feel.
Hmm.
But it's interesting because yeah, I thought like everyone would start with the same princess, but it seems like we had a different one, because mine was the very stern one, like ha ha ha. you're really gonna kill me with that little knife? Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, why don't we? And she was the one that just wanted to talk. She was like, oh, why don't we
Mm-hmm.
just talk? And I was like, okay, let's talk. And she said, well, I'm not gonna talk to you unless you put the knife down. So then I put the knife down,
Mm-hmm.
and then in chapter 2, I ended up. It's where you go in and she's in like the prison and she has all of the chains binding her, and there's like one left, and it's like, oh, go and investigate the chain, and I'm like,
Oh
okay.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then you get chained to the wall, and you're like, oh shit, and then
yeah.
you just spend eternity with her until eventually
Mm-hmm.
the whole prison crumbles and she gets taken by the long quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was also a quite nice one though. That was like one of the calmer ones.
Yeah,
Like some of them are so jarring,
yeah, yeah.
but some of them are actually like quite nice, because there's this like there seems to be this endless cycle of these two people who keep
Mm,
being reborn and then either like having to kill each other or like escape and save a world, but then having to still be reborn again and like not really being free. So like
yeah.
both of them aren't free and both of them are like just killing and hurting each other. And
Hmm.
then when you get like a good route, you're kind of like, this is nice. Can I stay here?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I think, but that's where I think the game was a little bit disappointing for me, is because when you are on those good routes, that's when the
Mm,
long quiet happens, and it's like, okay, your run's over now. Go
mhm.
back and do it another one.
Yeah.
Where it would have been nice to be like, well, what actually happened if you do free her? If there was,
Mm,
because it seemed like most of the time when you went to free her, at least for me, it was when it was the door would close and it's like, oh yeah, you're locked in here, you
mhm,
can't get out. And I'm like, well, why
mhm.
did you give me that option if you're just not gonna let me do anything?
Because sometimes, wait, you never opened the door then?
No, I know you
Ah,
can, but
yeah.
I never managed to do it.
Okay. So there's the best storyline for me was the one with the smitten, so the
Hmm.
romance thing. If you go down then again
Hmm.
and you free her, um, then the narrator says something like, "Okay, and what are you going to do now? Because you're like stuck down there. You
Yeah.
just have no choice but to kill her." And then he kind of forces you to kill her. So he
Yeah.
starts narrating. You pick up the knife. You go towards her to stab her in the back,
Hmm.
and you're like, "What? No, no, no! I don't want to do this."
Yeah.
Um, and then the voice of the smitten like suddenly becomes more powerful than the narrator and says, um, no, like the power of our love is stronger than some stupid narrator. We can decide what to do and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And he makes the narrator through like this will power that he has change his narration,
Yeah.
and then you don't kill the princess anymore. And
That's
then you're
cool.
like, wait a minute, that worked? And then the voice of the smith is like, of course it worked. I told you, no one can defeat our love. And then we're getting out of here. And then like you go up the stairs, you go to the door, and then the narrator says, well, the door's still blocking the way. I'm not letting you out of here. Nope, we're
Yeah.
gonna end the world if you let her out. And then and then the voice of smitten is again like, um, uh, it does not matter if the world ends so long as my love and I are
Mm.
free. The purity of our love will save any world, I am sure of it. And so we push open this door together. And then he's like, what? No, you can't do that. And then it just like stops him. And then he's like, together, the power of your love will open the door. Fuck! He gets so annoyed that you're
Yeah.
able to manipulate him into doing what you
That's
want.
pretty cool. No,
Yeah.
I never had it. Because I did have the smitten. That was on the one where she kind of deforms by just
Mhm.
wanting to make you happy.
I
But
think because you kept going down that question line, you didn't get the other one.
yeah, I think
I'm
so.
kind of
Yeah.
I'm kind of pissed about the thing what I did because I did manage to have like a super happy, nice ending where
Hmm.
at the end, she still did get swallowed, but we were both like in love, it seemed, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay. But there was one question or like one action I could have done where I could have kissed her.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
didn't take it because there
Uh,
was another option which to me seemed better. I don't know why. But then I chose the other option, and then the voice of the smitten says, no, that was our one chance to kiss her. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's what's so cool about it. It's like I said, it feels like it's in your head. Like it knows
Yeah.
what you're thinking. You're like, oh, should I
Yeah.
do this one or do this one? And then you choose it, and it makes you instantly regret that. You're like, ah, I should have chose the other option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it as well with there was one, I can't remember what run it was, but there was one where I was like, ah, I'm definitely gonna go in and kill her. Like I'm just gonna go in, take the knife, and try to stab her and see what happens.
Mm.
And it was when the mirror starts appearing in the cabin,
Mm.
and there was something like I went to the mirror. No, it was with the Fury. You go into the hellscape, and the mirror is the entire door. It's like this massive mirror
yeah.
over the door, and I was like, okay, I'll look at the mirror first, because usually what would happen is you touch it and it just disappears. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that first, get the knife and then go. But then when I touched it, it was like, oh yeah, you fall into the dungeon or whatever, and I was like, ah, shit, I forgot my knife. So I was like, no, like I made a mistake. So no, it's really cool. Like I said, it just seems to be, for me. I just always felt like it was like whatever I'm thinking, the game is like one step ahead, which is funny. Like I've not experienced a game like that.
So I was asking myself while playing, or like at the end of it, especially now, like finding out that it's only two developers that made it. They had to have like a really large testing pool of people, right? To test all of these answers against, and then find out, what type of person is going to choose what type of option. What were they thinking when they picked that option and why? And then they wrote, dialogue to kind of like counter that, or
Yeah.
push them further down that path after that. So, like I think they must have had it if they did all of this without like a really large testing pool.
Nah,
If they just had like friends and family play it, then
they were they were they were published by Serenity Forge, which is like a medium-sized indie publisher. So I guess they would have had some testing. I know they also at the credits towards the end, they also gave like a thank you to a lot of streamers and YouTubers. I think one of the people, like Markiplier, he played it. And I don't know if that also maybe helped with like some of the feedback and like building out the story. But no, it is like you said, like the amount of work and detail that is in the game, to say that it was like mostly it was developed by two people, written by two people, like the art was done by two people, is really, really impressive. But the one thing that I also was the entire way through, because at the very beginning there's like a disclaimer, and it tells you about like the princess, right? That you're sent there to kill her or to slay her. It never says kill her; it says slay. And it's like she'll try to
manipulate
you. She'll lie, don't believe her. But then at the end it says, "Oh, this is a love story," and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of like an interesting thing to say." Because I never ever really felt it was a love story. Like even at the very end of the game, at least for me, she says to me, I love you. And I was like, okay. It's a bit of a weird thing to say, right? Like, I don't think we have this type of relationship. Like, did you ever feel like it was a love story?
So also when the game said that in the beginning, I was also like, weird. Don't know why. But I think it can be interpreted as a love story in different ways, the ending. Because on the one hand, maybe it's like these two beings, like you turn out to be a god, right? And she turns out to be a god.
Yeah.
And it could be the love story between you two. But also don't forget the narrator. He is a mortal, apparently, who created this whole world and this loop to trap chaos and death because he lost someone very precious to him to death. So maybe it's his love story that caused all of this,
Yeah.
That's another way to maybe interpret it. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I also thought it was more like I was really racking my brains at one point. I was like, is the princess actually this woman? Like I was like, the princess, like, is it just this girl in this basement, or is it the being in the long quiet? And I guess it kind of turns out to be a bit of both. I guess because
I'm still not sure.
Yeah, because to me, I like how I understood the story was that like you were both one of the same being that has been split at some point by the narrator, and have been.
I thought two separate beings. I thought I thought he only split her, like the long quiet or whatever, the chaos and death aspect, and you are a completely different god, but you awoke at some point in this long quiet, and because he was not able to completely kill, like the narrator wasn't able to kill chaos and death completely because he's just immortal and she's a god, he was like, okay, I'm going to use this other god to kill her. And I think the princesses are all the pieces of her that he like separated so that she couldn't have like a clear consciousness or whatever. And I think like he tries to like manipulate you, the other god, into killing her, but then you also like you as the player, I guess, know that life is also about death and
Mm.
pain, and life isn't really worth it without those things.
Yeah.
So maybe you then can create this love story of
Mm.
the two gods who like coexist or like cannot coexist without each other, and you also teach that to the mortal who is the narrator, and by
Yeah.
doing that the developers teach you about it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I thought it was more like that they were, you and the princess were at one point the same being, and he split you apart
Hmm.
and put you together in this world as like a means, yeah, like you said, like a means to control death and yeah, and chaos and
Hmm.
pain, and he just basically puts you in this loop, and you are the only creature that can destroy it. But I thought
Hmm.
the whole point of the princess was that she's like, no, like we are one of the same. Like this, help me get back to where we were, like
Hmm.
to my true power. Then we can
Hmm.
become one, and then we can kind of just live our own existence as whatever of these, as this
Hmm.
god that is going to rule over the rest of existence. And in my ending, she kind of talks about like, yeah, we will just keep rewriting the universe like until we find one that we'd want. So then that's
Yeah.
like, like destroy one world if we don't like it, and then build a
Yeah.
new one, and then if we don't like that one, we'll destroy it. So yeah, that was kind of my takeaway, and that the
Yeah.
narrator is kind of like this. I don't know, like because it seems like he puts you in this position, but he obviously is somehow not as powerful as she is because
Hmm.
she lets you keep your memories between the
Hmm.
runs, or as powerful as you both are,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because that's like a theme, right? That like the character in the game knows, and you also as the player know
Hmm.
that this has happened before, and it keeps happening, and the narrator keeps denying it until
Hmm.
eventually it gets to a point in the story where he's like, "Oh, she knows you. She
Hmm.
said you tried to kill her. You must have met before."
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, but that's not him losing his memories. That's him because every time it's in a parallel world or
universe, yeah,
universe or whatever.
yeah,
So there's a different him every time. But
yeah,
I think you as gods just exist simultaneously in all of the worlds
yeah,
at the same time or together. Like that's why
mm,
you don't lose your memory.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but also that's another great thing about the game that I'd like to point out is it builds up so many mysteries and so many
mm-hmm,
questions, and that's what kept me playing.
yeah,
Is like because it is very repetitive at some point, but
mm-hmm,
what kept me playing is all of these unanswered questions.
yeah,
So, and they do it really subtly. Like the first time you reach out like to grab her chain or to grab the knife or whatever,
mm-hmm,
and you see you have this like scaly clawed
yeah,
monster hand thing,
yeah.
you're like, oh shit,
Oh,
I'm not a prince or a hero or
yeah,
anything.
yeah,
I would be some kind of a monster.
yeah.
And then she seems to talk to you normally though, like not really reacting in
Mm,
the way that you would to seeing a monster. So you're like, what is going on?
yeah.
Um, and so that was the first mystery was I wanted to see myself. Like then they put
Mm,
a mirror there and you're like, ah,
mm.
now I can see myself. And then the mirror fucking disappears every
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
And
Or
then
it has no reflection. Yeah,
or has no reflection. And
yeah.
then like every time you bring her a vessel afterwards, like it shows you like, ah, you've grown or
Mm-hmm.
you're broken now or like
Yeah,
something like that. And you just see a little bit more of yourself.
yeah.
I thought that was like really well done. Like that's a mystery that keeps you in. The other mystery is of course what are they both doing there? What are they
Mm-hmm.
there for? Then the next mystery is what are these arms that grab
Keep
the
taking it.
princess and
Yeah,
then absorb her?
yeah,
The other one is who is the narrator?
yeah.
What is his role? And it just poses so many questions that are like so cleverly, I feel like woven together at the end of the game. Like
Mm-hmm.
during the game, it's you can maybe make theories about what's going on,
Yeah,
but then you only really find out at the end of the game, and it's just like so good.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I thought. Like as well is that your character is a monster, and like the
Mm-hmm.
narrator is telling you that this pretty princess is the monster, and it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
like it reminded me a little bit of in like Shadow of the Colossus, where there are these colossi wandering around, and
Mm-hmm.
you just go up to them and kill them, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, they weren't hurting anyone. Like they didn't do anything to me personally. Why do I have to kill them? And that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
maybe the metaphor they were trying to get off here is like you are the actual monster. Like you look
Mm-hmm.
monstrous, like literally.
Yeah.
and you're going into this basement to kill this princess that potentially isn't really doing anything. She's stuck there, which was interesting. But yeah, so how did your story end then?
Let me remember because it was a week ago. So I brought her all the vessels. Then there was the scene with the narrator with like the mirror
Broken mirror, yeah.
shards where he
Very
disappears
cool.
like one by one.
Yeah.
Very cool, yeah. And also like that scene where like you ask a question and shit, I only have a finite
Yeah,
amount of questions I can ask him. I have to be clever about which ones I pick. That was really cool.
Yeah, so basically for the listeners, like he appears in the mirror and the mirror shatters, and there's maybe 10 pieces of shattered mirror in front of you, and every time you ask a question, one of the pieces disappears. So I only have 9 more questions to ask him to get as much information out of him as you can before you go into the final section of the game.
Yeah, and he basically explains like 90% of these mysteries that we've just talked about in that thing. So
yeah,
I probably didn't even get all the
no,
explanation.
I definitely didn't. Like I
Which
want
is
to
why
watch.
we both had a different interpretation of it as well.
Yeah, which is cool though. It's cool.
Yeah. So I did that, the narrator thing, and then you go to the long quiet. What I tried to do with her, so I was also playing it like how I was just naturally feeling in the moment, and from what the narrator told me that he didn't want death and pain because he lost a loved one to pain and stuff like that. I was kind of like, well, you need it, it's a part of life. I was going down that route with her, and I think we basically at the end just like got along, had our happy ending, both coexisted, and I think that's the one I had.
Yeah, man was like after my conversation with him, I was like, okay, I'm gonna kill her, and then it's kind of cool how you go into the end section, and it almost and it feels like a boss fight, or at least to me it did, because the whole way through the game, it's like like I said, like there's been very minimal animation, and also like screen, when you're reading screens with text on, it's usually just like a parallax background of like if you move your mouse and the screen moves. But then you went here and like the whole screen, she looks like almost like this like tree, I would say. Like she had like these arms coming out of her head that like feel like the tree leaves, and then there's like she has like all of these different faces of all of the different princess personas that she has, and then the body is like like all of these other bodies of like the princess like leaning over each other to try to grab her. And I think they call her like what is it, like this, it's a something mound, right? Like the smoldering mound or something like that they call her.
Something,
yeah. And that's what she looks like. She just looks like a mound of bodies on bodies on bodies, all intertwined with each other. It's really cool. And then she sort of gives her side of the story and says, this is what I want to do. I want to, like, this is where I kind of got the thing that you are actually the same person, like, or different parts of it. Because she's like, oh, we can become whole, we can rule, we can just create the universe and destroy it until we find one that we're happy with or whatever. And then I was like, okay, I don't think we should do this. And then she basically throws like the previous princesses that you've met along your journey at you, and you have to try to like talk them down. And it's just so cool because it's all mostly like still images where the last one I had before I went to her was I had the witch, and the witch is the one where you end up like killing each other at the same time. Like she turns into like almost like a cat. And
a cat.
Yeah, so like you go in unarmed, and you free her.
Come to you unarmed. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Conor McGregor joke.
You go in and you free her, and then when the narrator takes over your body, you kill her you slay her. So you don't warn her or anything.
Oh, wow.
You try to attack her, yeah. And then she's like, it's like very much like, oh my god, like, you're untrustworthy. And then she ends up killing you, like she ends up killing you, and you end up stabbing her. And then you go to chapter 2, and it's like in this like this tree, like this cave in the ground that's surrounded by tree roots. And she's in there, and she looks like a cat, and she has like these claws and these teeth and a tail, and she's called the witch. And I went in like, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to kill you, it was an accident. And she's like, oh yeah, okay, fine. And you like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to get you out. And then she's like, okay, well, we'll go up the stairs, but you go first. So I was like, okay. And then went up the stairs,
Hmm.
and she basically stabs me in the back and kills me. And then we both fall down the stairs and break our necks, and that's how it kind of ends. That we killed each other. And then yeah, so she was like my first enemy in the boss fight is the witch, and like she's very cat like, and again it's like very still images, and she's like saying to me like, oh, you know, kind of like you're untrustworthy, and you plan this, and yeah, we were also destined for one another because that's how we ended up killing each other and whatever. And like I'm like clicking through the text, and I have all the time in the world to click the text and read it and listen to it, but I'm feeling like really like panicky, like, oh my god, this thing's gonna get me if I don't say the right thing. And then it does it for all 4 or 5 of the princesses you meet. So then after her, I had the one that was um the one where all of them mashed together, where you shatter them and you see 5 different princesses because you refuse to move in the forest.
Yeah, that's when you turn around and leave, right?
Yeah,
And
and
then
you keep doing it, yeah.
yeah,
And then that was really creepy, and then eventually got to the end where it was like, okay, what do you want to do? And I was like, yeah,
mm,
I still don't know what I should do. And then I decided, I think I decided I'm gonna kill her. And then the hero comes, the voice of the hero, and
mm-hmm.
he's like, hey, like, just so you know, I'm still here, and I will help you through this. And then you go back into the cabin, go down to the basement, and it's, you know, like the first section of the cabin, you can see the window, and it always makes a point to be like, the shining star like twinkles through the window.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it's just like the monster, like the goddess pressed up against the window, like all of
Yeah.
her body parts, and you're like, oh, okay, this is scary. And then you go into I went down to the basement, and there was a princess there, and she was kind of like, oh, hey, like, I know why you're here. And she's like, yeah, for some reason I feel lighter than usual, or like she feels like, oh, my head is clear. And I'm like, okay. And this is just like the woman of the princess, like the princess without any of the vessels or anything. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is the princess. And she's kind of like, yeah, do you want to talk, or do you want to just kill me? So I was like, okay, let's talk. So then I talked to her, and I was like, well, what other options do I have? And she said, well, basically, yeah, you can kill me, you can let me go, or we can just keep doing this for the rest of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went down that path of like, well, eventually we'll get back to this. If we keep doing this, we'll get back to eternity if I keep looping. And she's like, yeah, but then, you know, then we have a choice. And it's like, oh, you have a choice to basically to kill me or not. And I was like, okay, that's like an interesting thing. And I was like, all right, I'm going to choose not to kill her. And she's like, and that's when she comes out with a line like, hey, I love you. And it's like, do you want to say I love you back? Do you want to like say nothing? Or do you want to just, and I was like, okay, I'm saying nothing because I don't feel like I love this character at all.
Yeah.
But I felt like she was actually like just the human there,
Mm-hmm.
and was like, okay, I've been dealt this hand, and I'm kind of at like your whim now, and you can kind
Mm-hmm.
of do what you want. And because of that, I was like, okay, I don't want to kill her. But then
Yeah.
it reset the game, so then it's like you're in the forest on a
Yeah.
trail, and I was like, fuck no. I was like, no. I was like, I'm gonna have to like, and it was whilst I was recording, and I was like,
Mm.
this means I'm gonna have to do another episode and try to work out what I need to do to get to the end and end it because I've already like spent way too much time, like too many episodes, and I was like, oh god. And then I was like I was starting to complain about it in the episode, and then I pressed like
Mm.
continue, and then it gave me the credits. I was like, okay, so I did
Mm-hmm.
go, and then I got like a Steam achievement that says congratulate, like, finished, and you didn't get you get this for not getting the good ending or something like that. And I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. So it makes me wonder what the good ending is.
Okay. Hmm.
So I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah. Um, I can tell you about this paint thing now.
Okay.
So I think the first time I got killed by her with the fear mask, and then second time I just went in, ignored everything, killed
Hmm.
her, like very, very straightforward job. Then the game just like stopped. There wasn't like anything collecting her or anything. The game goes to like this completely like white background,
Yeah.
and like someone like a child or something has like written on Microsoft Paint, um the end, and then
Yeah.
there's like a princess drawn really badly,
Yeah.
and a cabin and some stars around it and stuff like that. And
Huh.
then I'm like, no, they're making fun of me, like this can't be the end. And then you press to continue, and then it brings you back to the main menu, and you're like, what? And then I press continue in the main menu, and then it started again, like you're in a
Yeah.
cabin in the woods, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, huh? But then one of these new voices joined, and then like the differences start to happen as
Aha,
well.
that's interesting.
And that's I think maybe that's the good ending because it's like the troll ending.
Mm.
And then when you get the Steam achievement at the end, it says like this is the real ending, not the good ending.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. What did
When you
I?
get the black screen with the actual like names coming through, that's
Mm-hmm.
the proper ending credits.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But I don't think that's like the story ending. So mine said, I'm looking at Steam now. It says our song finished the game. Yeah. Did you get like the playlist, the song playlist, where it's like, oh, here is a song
yeah,
playlist for you.
yeah,
Take a screenshot. Ah, okay.
yeah. You didn't get that?
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
It
good.
says finish the game. The good ending doesn't count. And
Yeah,
68% of players got this. So I guess it's in the majority. Well,
yeah. The good
obviously.
ending. No, the good ending is that thing that I just said. I think.
Okay,
Wait,
with the Microsoft
I can.
Paint.
The good ending, slay the princess. Let me
Okay.
just see if I can Google it. Um,
Yeah. What I also liked was it
yeah,
gives you
the
like
good
a
ending. Google
yeah.
it, and then you'll see the picture I'm talking about.
Okay, I'll do it on here and then people can see it.
Okay, yeah,
Slay. So they can't see you now, but
okay,
I can't type. The
all right. Not see that.
princess good ending. Okay, Slay the princess the good endings.
Go on images.
Oh, on
I just go on
images.
Google
Okay,
Images.
okay. Aha, the good ending.
You,
You did it.
yeah,
You saved everyone. Okay.
that's it. I got that. Imagine playing and getting that thing.
Yeah.
You're like, what
But
the fuck is this?
how did you save everyone though? You just were like, okay, like we'll
You just
leave.
go in, you kill her. That's it. She's dead.
Ah, you killed her.
Yeah. You
That's
go in, you
funny.
kill her, she's dead. But then, like, she actually isn't dead, right? Because then you are in the main menu, you press continue,
And you
and
load
then
up again, yeah.
you continue from that point. It doesn't start again, right?
Mm,
So it wasn't a real ending.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then another cool thing that happened to my wife, not
Mm-hmm.
to me, was she chose at some point something. So she was in the long quiet with the other being,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the options is like, um, let's just wait here together forever.
Yeah.
And if you keep clicking that, and then like she says like, do you really want to? Nah, you should go back and try the
Mm-hmm.
cabin, and blah. And you're like, no, no, I just want to stay and wait here. Then at some point, it just closed the game.
Yeah.
Like my wife was in the Steam menu again,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and she's like, I must have clicked something. I think
Yeah.
I'm out of the game. Did I save? I don't know. And then I was like, huh, that's weird. And then I went into the game, press play, it loads everything, it does the whole
Mm-hmm.
loading screen. And then it's immediately, though, like after the loading screen, back in the long quiet with
Yeah.
the thing. And it's like, oh, you're back. Like it doesn't go
That's,
to the main menu or
yeah.
anything. Um,
That's so
uh,
clever.
yeah, it's like one of those, like what was that old
Wasn't it Metal
game? Was it
Gear?
like on Nintendo?
I think it was Metal
Called
Gear, one of the Metal
Metal,
Gears
yeah,
where it like closes it's like you tells you have a virus and closes your PlayStation down or something like that.
yeah, yeah. There was something where you had to. No, no, no. The boss said, I can see everything that you've done and will do.
Mm.
And you have to switch around the save card
Mm-hmm.
things, I think,
Okay.
like something like that.
Okay.
Because he can read your save card.
Uh-huh.
And so if you switch it around or like take it out or something, then he can't read you anymore and then you
Uh,
can beat him. So yeah, I love when games do something like
yeah, it's like
creative outside of the
very
game like
yeah,
that.
it's like fourth wall breaking, right? Where you
Yeah.
kind of like they aren't talking to you as a character, but you as the player, like
Mm.
you know, they know you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think this like I don't know. Because I really like as well that at the end of the story it gives you like the kind of like achievements of all of the different vessels you've met and kind of shows you and gives you hints on how you can
Hmm.
get to other ones. And like we
Hmm.
both shared ours in the Discord, and like you have a lot more than I had, and I'm like, maybe I should go back. Maybe with just like a guide and be like,
Hmm.
okay, how do I get to see this one, and just
Hmm.
play it through again
But
because
yeah, like I said, just try different options in the beginning, and then if you get a new like voice
voice, yeah,
of the character that you don't know before,
mm-hmm.
then just always take the voice option that fits to that character,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then you'll get. So chapter 2 is usually like when you have the voice thing, and then
mm-hmm.
you're supposed to follow along with that voice. I think chapter 3 you only ever get to if you don't do that. So you said you never got to chapter 3
I
because
did
you're
once. I did
you
once.
got once.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
once. Yeah,
And that's when
yeah,
that's right. It's when I went against the broken because
yeah.
he wanted me to bow down to the goddess and I didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's only a matter of dragging it out then,
Mm,
because you can either finish everything in chapter 2, collect the vessel, give it to
yeah,
the
and
long
go.
quiet
Yeah.
by following along with what you're supposed to do, or you fight against it and then you just drive the princess insane and she shows her like second Super Saiyan form
Mhm.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But then at the end of that one, you still also get her. So it's just like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
way of dragging it out.
Yeah. That's what I thought with the witch because I was like, ugh,
Yeah.
again, I felt like I messed it up because she killed us both, and I was like, oh great. Now I'm gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
start again, and then the long quiet takes her, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's a relief because I knew she was the last one I needed to get to get the final
Mm-hmm.
vessel. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's a great game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a good one to start off this game of the month conversation with. I think it's going to be hard to beat it for a while. At least with the games that like we have on the list of possible
Yeah.
games to play for the month. But yeah,
We've been talking for a while about
yeah,
this game that is less than 5 hours long.
yeah. I know. I
I
mean, we've been
think.
talking for an hour. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, we've also talked together in the office about it a couple of
Mm.
times too. So it is a game that you can keep discussing, and also I think you can just keep playing. Like, yeah, it took me about 4 hours to beat it to get to the credits, but you could definitely go on forever. Like, I think I have maybe a quarter of all of the vessels that there is to see.
Mhm.
And again, like you said, it's crazy that this is mostly driven by two people.
Mhm.
Just the logic behind it is kind of mind bending, like you say.
Yeah.
The different decisions that you can make, the different outcomes, everything's tied together, and for
Mhm.
that to be made by two people is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good. Then, do you have any final words on the game you'd like to say before we end the episode?
Um, Not really. If you have Steam and you like story games, get this game. Definitely support those developers. If they can
Hmm.
make more of this type of content, I will gobble it up.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
and
also
that's it.
on, I think, uh, Switch, Nintendo Switch, and I
Hmm.
think PlayStation as well. Let me double check. Yeah, so PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if I'd known that, actually, I would have bought it on Switch. But then again, I couldn't have made the Let's Plays with Switch. So,
Mm.
yeah, I'm kind of happy. Yeah, cool. Then, thank you very much for joining us, Casper. Is there anything you'd like to shout out of your own that you would like people to go check out? Or,
Nope.
nope, good.
I
Okay.
don't have any online presence at the moment.
No, okay, good. Then you can shout out the Beat Your Backlog bingo, which I actually need to
Definitely.
finally mark off some bingo cards, some like spaces for, because I've actually
Hmm.
finished my first game on there now with Slay the Princess.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. The Beat Your Backlog Discord channel is really fun. I'm looking at it every day, and we have a few like different channels and games and activities that are great, and the people are really interactive and really nice. And yeah, join, and do the Beat Your Bingo with us, which is a challenge that has prizes.
Yes, it does. We unlock more prizes now as well for second
Mhm.
and third place on for getting the full bingo card. So yeah, thank you very much, Casper, for joining. It was nice to be able to discuss a game with someone. I think you're actually the only person I've actually ever had on to discuss a game because you were on for the Final Fantasy 16 episode and also
Hogwarts Legacy.
Hogwarts. Did we do two
Yeah.
Hogwarts or just one of
I
them? We
think
did two.
Hogwarts we did two. Final Fantasy we only
We
did
only did
one
one. Yeah,
because
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Because your opinions started to get very bad on Final Fantasy 16, so I was like, I can't have him. I can't have him back on. I can't have him back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You won't change my mind on that.
Okay. Okay, well then, thank you very much for listening to episode 62 of the Beat Your Backlog podcast. Do let us know if you have played Slay the Princess and what you thought about it. As Casper said, it is our game of the month in the Beat Your Backlog Discord, so you can join there by clicking on the link in the description and join in with the conversation with everyone there. Or if you are a Spotify listener, you can let me know directly on this episode in the description, in the comments underneath the episode, or otherwise you can let me know on Blue Sky by tweeting me or messaging me, I guess you would say, on Blue Sky there at Beat Your Backlog Podcast. And pretty much otherwise, I didn't really prepare an outro for this, so thanks for listening.
You have a YouTube now as well.
There's a
You put
YouTube,
Let's Play
we are both
game.
on YouTube. You can wave and see we are on YouTube. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure you go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe there, because I'm slowly trying to make my content a little bit more interactive on YouTube instead of it just being still images. I want to have some gameplay in some of my reviews. You get to see our lovely faces on the podcast episodes. So if that is a means for you where you prefer to listen to podcasts on YouTube, the podcast is there, or you can watch us there too. And of course, there is always Patreon. And if you've enjoyed the episode and would like to show your support, please consider joining my Patreon at the $2 or $5 tier. And if you do, you get access to all of my content 24 hours early. You get access to the Beat Your bonus podcast. I always have to make sure I say the right one. And you can also follow there for free. So if you don't have the means right now to support monetarily, you can follow there. And as soon as content goes live for the public, you'll get a notification for it. So that's also a good way to support me, because I think the more people that are on Patreon, it gets pushed out to more people. The algorithm pushes out to more people who might potentially support monetarily. So if you could do that, that would be great. And if you could give the podcast a 5-star review wherever you're listening to it, that would be awesome too. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.